Hi, team. So I wanted to walk you through a continuation of the list that we created, extracted from the images, excuse me, from the image, and the suggestions that you all put forward as a participant of the workshop that we had a couple weeks ago. And so with that, I wanted to take some time here today and just quickly walk through those. So we look at that initial image, and we had ChatGPT go through and use vision mode to extract all of that text on the stickies into a large list numbered format. Now we're going to go through and we're actually going to use some of these ideas to turn around and test them using real-time feedback loops. So we'll turn around and we'll say, first one here, I like this one. This is an interesting one. So help me write a business case for change. And so we're going to go with, please. Okay, so before we begin, so we'll let that go ahead and run now. And we'll say, please help me complete line item number 5. And before you begin, let's ask some questions to improve the quality of the output. And so we see here that it's going to go through now and it's going to ask me the nature of the change initiative, the target audience, objectives, challenges, pain points, key stakeholders, expected benefits, cost considerations, timeline, previous experience, and the approval process. And so as a member of the team, I could now go ahead and I could give that information to ChatGPT. It's going to go ahead and say, hey, thanks so much for all of that great information. Let's go ahead and then create a change strategy. So for the next one, I wanted to go through, let's take a look here. Let's see some other ones. Self-service templates. This one's super exciting. So let's go ahead. Wait. Okay. So we'll go ahead and create those shared templates now. See what questions it comes back with. And so it's going to ask us first off the bat, what type of materials are we trying to create? Who's our audience? What type of content focus do we have? Is there any design and branding we need to be aware of? What's the tone and style? The interactivity and the experience we want to create for the participant? Is there any accessibility challenges that we need to be aware of? Frequency of use, feedback mechanisms, and of course your tools and platforms. So again, we see how it's given us a detailed list of questions that we could then go ahead and work through to provide that information so that we would have a functional set of templates. And thinking back to our example earlier, when we're ready to visualize that, we can then use the prompt using DALL-E, please create the following prompt. And so we would go through our visualization process, and that can be done for either solid fixed state graphics or working a little lower. We had started the process of thinking about how do we then create this into a prompt for using in video materials. So the next piece I wanted to show you here was, excuse me, let's see here. I like this one. Number 12, speaking the language of change. Okay, so let's give it a bit of context here. Let's act as a change management consultant with extensive experience, numerous change methodologies, practices. Assignment. So you see here, I'm giving it a bit of a different prompt structure. The reason is I want it to be very clear and concise in the outputs that it generates for me. So I'm going to enterprise organizations. List exhaustive and comprehensive. Next step, help create educational materials. Each of these change methodologies, frameworks to communicate other individuals. So we can correct the grammar there, let Grammarly take care of that for us. And when we're ready, we'll then go ahead and say, of course, ask clarifying questions. And so we'll let that go ahead and run now. And so we'll see what it comes back with in terms of different clarifying questions. So we have our specific industry, our depth of coverage, who's our primary audience, do they have a preferred format? And of course, what's our geographic focus? We have our change scope, our comparison to other methodologies, learning objectives, and of course, additional considerations. So that's a great kickoff point that we could then work through to turn around and say, okay, so we're following a lean change methodology, Cotter's 8-step method. We're going to then turn around and educate stakeholders. And this is our industry, this is our geographic region. Here's the scope of change that we're looking to accomplish. So we really start to fill this out and give the agent or the model the ability to turn around and come back and say, okay, so here's all the key information you've provided me. Let's go ahead and start an educational process. Last one I wanted to go through today was creating a workshop design. So this one's actually a lot of fun. And so we're going to switch our persona. And so we're going to say acting as instructional designer. Please help me to create a workshop for teaching change management professionals about AI. And there's a reason I want to prompt it that way, because I want to think about how do we lead people versus how do we manage people. And so we're going to turn around and of course ask clarifying questions before we begin today's assignment. So let's see what it comes back with now. And this one we're actually going to work through just because this is a fun example. This is also the process that I use to create some of the workshop materials for the ACDC Change Days 2024. As disclosed, we did use AI through AI, Perplexity, and Claude actually through the research process to turn around and ensure that we had the most relevant and up-to-date information when presenting the workshop initially. So we see here that we have our learning objectives, and so we'll go ahead and answer these in numbered form that is presented to us just to help clarify the structure of the responses. And so with this, the learning objectives is how to use change management. Second one is going to be a 90-minute workshop. Third one is going to be a diverse audience of change leaders. So then we see practical application. Yes. 2 sessions. Industry focus, agnostic. Should be for supporting change leaders. Okay. Change experience. Okay. Could be using ChatGPT and Claude. Interactive. I'm not a big fan of lecturing. And then from there, we're going to turn around and look at, yes, all resources will be made available. I'm going to do some practical exercises. So, run for a second here. Okay, so not bad. So it gives us the initial workshop design outline, but now what we want to do is we actually want it to go back and critique its own work. And so we're going to ask it to do that just in 1 second here. So we'll let it start. This is a good start. Not bad, not bad. Okay. Scenario 1, communication plans. So a little bit different than what we did, but that's okay. So here we go. And so great start. Please take a moment. Deep and refine work quality. Great learning experience. Okay, so what we've done now is we've actually set it back. We've said, hey, good start. We've given it that feedback, positive feedback and encouragement. It's looking for that reward mechanism, so we've given it to it. But we've also asked it to take a step back and critique and refine its own work. And so we see here that it's going to turn around and it's actually going to present us first with the refinement and critique of the workshop design. Where were the issues that it ran into? What did it feel it could improve better? And so from there, we'll let that go ahead and finish. And so we see here that it's got through each section, it's working through, it has some different pieces that it's identifying as, hey, I could do better there. So let's go ahead and let that finish up. Right. Let's create final draft. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll create our final draft now. And while that wraps up, I just wanted to walk you through kind of what's happened. So what we did was we created the first draft. We said, okay, this is good, but at the same time, it's not great. So we've asked to go back and now please take a moment to critique and refine the quality of work. Looking to and the focus here is create a great learning experience for all participants. So what I've done is I've given it the context that A, we're rewarding its behavior, its first output. B, we're giving it feedback that there's still opportunity for it to improve. C, we're allowing it to turn around and take on the responsibility of critiquing and refining its own work, which is an advanced prompt structure that will help pay magnitudes in terms of efficiency. And then from there, what we can do is we can say, okay, so now we have a final draft. Let's use that final draft to now go through and we would do the final human edit. And in the process of the last 15 minutes, give or take 5 or 6 that have been spent on this piece specifically, we now have a functional draft that we can go forward and we can say, okay, let's go ahead and start to work through, finalize this, make changes where appropriate. And we now have a workshop outline, excuse me, that we can use to build off of and to turn around and create a great learning experience. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me, and all of the materials that we covered in the workshop are available on the Miro board. Wishing you all the best. Bye-bye.